On January 22nd, 2024, history is being made. Sri Ram will take his rightful place in Ayodhya. Many people have given their opinion on this matter, but what does this mean for Hindus born outside of India? What does it mean for someone like myself who has never set foot in India? It's a big deal. A very big deal. So let's get into it. What is up guys, Sean here from Hindu Lifestyle, where I make videos on Hinduism, Hindu advocacy, and spirituality, focusing on my experience growing up as a Hindu in Canada. On November 9th, 2019, the Supreme Court of India made a landmark ruling on the historic battle of Ayodhya. Who has rightful ownership over the land where Sri Ram was born? And if you haven't been living under a rock for the last few years, you know that Hindus were victorious and they were granted permission to build a temple for Sri Ram. If you're like me and you grew up in North America, this was probably something you didn't hear much about until 1992, when it made headlines for all the wrong reasons. I'm going to split this video up into 3 parts, focusing on the history of the controversy, the reasons why Hindus were victorious, and finally why this matters for Hindus, regardless of the country listed on your passport. Feel free to skip ahead, and I promise to make this as quick as possible. So let's talk history. The historical basis of this controversy surrounds the famous Babri Masjid, and this fundamental question: was this mosque always there, or was it built upon a pre-existing Hindu temple? Hindus for centuries have always maintained that the site was always a place of pilgrimage and recognized it as the birthplace of Sri Ram. Many scholars have placed the birth of Sri Ram at approximately 4300 BCE, and at the site of his birth a temple was built. During the spread of Islam between 630 to 1700 and subsequent Mughal invasions into India, the original temple was destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed and rebuilt. The Babri Mosque was constructed between 1528 and 1529. In 1858, Hindus started to assert their legal claims to the site, leading to numerous petitions and lawsuits filed over the years. In 1949, the Murti of Sri Ram was placed inside the masjid, leading to protests from Muslims. On December 6, 1992, a rally organized by the BJP and the VHP at the Babri Masjid grew to more than 150,000 people, and that was when things took a turn for the worse. Tensions grew, police lines were crossed, and a riot broke out, ending in the demolition of the Babri Masjid, and even worse, leading to the death of several thousands of people. Fast forward to 2010, and after numerous other legal trials, the Allahabad High Court ruled that the land be divided into 3 parts, 1/3 going to the Hindus, 1/3 going to the Muslims, and the remaining third going to the Nirmohi Akhada. Well, that didn't go over well, as all 3 parties appealed the ruling, and eventually the case was heard by the Indian Supreme Court, who ruled on November 9th, 2019, based on evidence, that the land be handed over to the Hindus so a temple could be built for Sri Ram. So what made the Supreme Court rule this way? Was it political pressure that some in the media would like you to believe? Well, no, actually it wasn't. It was based on archaeological evidence. Yes, actual verifiable evidence. K.K. Muhammed, former regional director of the Archaeological Survey of India, was part of the team of archaeologists which had carried out the first excavation at the site in 1976 to 1977. He maintained that there was enough archaeological proof of a grand temple below the Babri Masjid. While his position remained unchanged throughout the years, leftist historians and journalists conspired to keep Hindus away from claiming this land. The main piece of evidence that finally sealed the deal was an inscription written on a stone dating back to the 12th century, composed in Sanskrit, describing a beautiful Hindu temple to Lord Vishnu, built in the city of Ayodhya. Need I say more? One of the major issues for the continuation of this controversy is what I would call in today's terms the woke historians and journalists who constantly push back and didn't want to see Hindus victorious. Noted historian Meenakshi Jain wrote 2 books on the Ayodhya issue, Ram and Ayodhya and the Battle for Ram, The Case of the Temple at Ayodhya, and in her book she used religious texts as well as judicial and land records from British India along with accounts of foreign travelers to put forth the case that Ayodhya has been a sacred site for Hindus for much longer than a group of left historians would like us to believe. So now that we've looked at the history, the legal issues, and all of the archaeological evidence, what does this victory mean for Hindus? Many around the world would like to see this as a victory for Hindus in the country of India. But no, it is not a victory for Hindus just in India. It is a victory for Hindus worldwide. To understand what Sri Ram means for Hindus, one needs to look at the communities he inspired. I myself am a Canadian. My heritage is Indo-Caribbean. Quite literally, the Ramayana has shaped the Indo-Caribbean society. It has been the go-to scripture that Hindus read, sing, and listen to at any religious function. Not only has the Ramayana been the primary text used to instill Hindu values, it also formed the backbone of cultural performances in our community such as Ram Leela performed during Diwali. The Ramayana inspired so many compositions and folk songs that it becomes impossible to even talk about the life for Hindus persisting in the Caribbean if it wasn't for the Ramayana. When I was 8 years old, my Nani and Nana, my maternal grandparents, hosted a 7-night Ramayana Yagna in Trinidad, which I was there for. And that had such a lasting impression on me, I still remember it to this day. So it is for this reason that I say this is a victory for Hindus worldwide. My ancestors who toiled in the sugarcane fields, singing the dohas and the chaupais from the Ramayana, this is a moment for me in 2024 to reflect on how they held on to Sri Ram to guide them, to give them strength through all the adversities they've felt, because quite literally, that is all they had. This is also a moment for the global Hindu community to come together and look at how Sri Ram has been an integral part of Hindu society around the world. To the lives that were lost in this battle, it is our moment to remember everyone who made this victory possible. So while I may not hold Indian citizenship, and while I haven't even been to India yet, India for me is a sacred geography. It is a physical sacred space that gave birth to our Hindu civilization, and Ayodhya to me is the only home for Sri Ram. On January 22nd, I will be joining in the celebrations commemorating this historic occasion. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please share this video with your friends and family. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Jai Sri Ram.
Bihar